All righty, welcome. Monday, first day as we talk about the Super Bowl. It's here. We can talk about it for 2 weeks now. Super Bowl 54, we have our matchup. Did you have the 49ers versus the Chiefs back in August? I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people predicted at least these two teams to get there. It was on paper, it was a good possibility. I wouldn't say it's the most favorite possibility out there, but we got a matchup between quarterbacks. I wouldn't say um, the elite type of quarterback that we've been talking about for a decade or more, but we got a situation where maybe finally we have two quarterbacks that is the next generation, the new era of the NFL. Garoppolo versus Mahomes. These two could be the beginning of something very special in their careers for the NFL as the league goes forward after its 100th year. But it's something to look at. It's symbolic enough or a message in a way of Brady's on his way out. We don't know how much Breeze has left. Aaron Rodgers got a few years left in him. Big Ben coming back, but he's got a few years left. Eli is about done, right? Philip Rivers moving on. He's about done. So it is time. And the quarterbacks you've been watching this football season are and is the future of the NFL. But once again, you get two legitimate pocket passing quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, you had four quarterbacks in yesterday's games that were primarily pocket quarterbacks. And once again, it proves to be the most relevant, significant part position in the game is quarterback. It was special to watch it and a lot to see uh, the Chief fans who looking for their first one in 50 years, their third Super Bowl trip. They lost to the Packers in the first one and then finally won theirs in Super Bowl 4. Now they get the 49ers, who are trying to get to a championship to add to their trophy case of Super Bowls. They're looking for their number 6, looking to tie the Patriots and the Steelers to be in that category. These are two teams that are matched up well offensively. You'll have to give the edge right away to the 49ers with their defense that looks Super Bowl defense. For the Chiefs, their defense is good. Maybe doesn't get enough credit. Actually, better than what people talk about. And maybe good enough and surprising enough to take down the 49ers in Miami in Super Bowl 54 in 2 weeks. Excited about this game in a lot of ways because we could have a lot of offense and some great defensive plays. It has a high potential of a lot of big wow moments. This is one of those Super Bowls that senses and feels like a big wow moment. Could this be a future rival Super Bowl? We will have a rematch. Early in their careers, Garoppolo and Mahomes, don't be surprised if they're back in a Super Bowl in the next few years, the way these teams are set up. But that's hard to do. Let's get to the first one, and let's see where we go from there, right? So if you didn't see it yesterday, the Chiefs were losing 17-7, and they came back and defeated the Titans 35-24. So the Chiefs, once again, falling behind at home, but hung around, battled back, and once they got a hold of that lead, it was done. For the Titans, they end their season at 9-7 with the playoff victories and loss. For the Chiefs, moving on 12-4. Their first Super Bowl appearance since 1970. For the Packers and the 49ers, two teams with Super Bowl trophies and championships in their buildings. It was the 49ers winning 37-20. This was a blowout early and on. You look up, 20-0, 27-0, 27-7. Packers made a run at the end, but a little too late, and had maybe the opportunity to get back into the game, and they did, and maybe close it down and make the full comeback with the ball with 8 minutes to go, down by 2 scores. But the Niners defense rose to the occasion like a Super Bowl team would do and can do, stop the Packers to go any further. And you can say the same thing about the Chiefs. The Titans made a run late in the game, down by 2 scores. But the Chiefs pulled away or held on and prevented any comeback that anybody was thinking. Their defense came through. Their defenses on both teams were fabulous. Fantastic. A quick note of the Chiefs game and the Titans. Ryan Tannehill had a good day. At one point, I saw he was 20 for 28 with like a few minutes to go in the game. He did his part. He had to throw more, but he did fine. Derrick Henry had 50 plus yards at halftime, but it ended up not having the second half that they needed to win the game. Give the Chiefs credit. That is a good defense. They got a lot of speed. They play physical up front, and they have a secondary that is solid. But a big challenge comes in the Super Bowl against the 49ers, who are more physical. They are a more physical team than they've ever faced this season. The San Francisco 49ers are going to test the Chiefs defensively, for sure. For the 49ers, they just put down the beatdown. They played the postseason like a team that is going to win the Super Bowl, like a team that is already in the middle of its own dynasty, which is not. But this seems and sounds and tastes and smells like the potential of a run of a few Super Bowls in San Francisco. The beatdown wasn't just because it was the Packers and a mismatch, but it happened last week. The 49ers look that good. They're healthy, 100% healthy, and a full squad. They are the best team in football. They had a lot of injuries during the season, the 49ers, and it slowed them down, threw them off pace. Hey, they nearly were not division winners. It took a last play of the game at the goal line tackle from becoming a wild card team with a longer, harder path to get to the Super Bowl on the road than being home field advantage throughout. That's how close the 49ers were from being in a bad spot. But they got healthy enough, they hung on, and now they are full force. And you can say a lot for the Chiefs. Both teams will get their 2 weeks to rest and get guys ready and healthy. This is a good hype game. And we're going to see a lot of red. This is a Super Bowl of red. If you like the color red, this is your Super Bowl. The end zones will not necessarily be red. I think the end zone for the Chiefs will be a yellow with their gold or with their red letters and gold end zone. For the Niners, it'll be their San Francisco Niner red and the gold 49ers in their end zone. The 49ers want to wear all white. The old, that wouldn't say old classic white, but one of their throwbacks. They are the visiting team, which means the home team, the Chiefs, will have choice of color uniform. Their choice probably will be their home red, Chief red, which means the Niners will have to go white. The problem is with all white uniforms, the NFL has to approve that. And it may not go well because of the NFL has different standards and different types of weeks of football where you wear your all whites or your solid colors, pants and shirts, jerseys. This is the Super Bowl. It wasn't meant for that. The Niners put it out there that they would like to go all white under the classic Steve Young era uniform, if you remember those uniforms. Not the Joe Montana ones. But they may have to wear the Joe Montana white and gold pants, which is still very classic. The last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl was in Miami, blowing out the San Diego Chargers. It wasn't even a game. It was a blowout onslaught. Steve Young threw 6 touchdown passes that night in Miami. And that game was the day Steve Young was able to move on and away from the Joe Montana era. But it's been that long, 1994 for the 49ers, but not long as the Chiefs, 50 years. It was nice to see the Chiefs get their Lamar Hunt trophy back in Kansas City where it all belongs because that's the original owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. But it is the first time the colors will be primarily red for both teams. Um, you may not understand who has home field advantage. San Francisco fans will travel. The Chiefs fans will travel more and farther. So necessary. This is not a typical San Francisco travel for their fan base. Not going to be easy. Go clear across country to play in Miami. Chiefs fans, not too far. Florida has been a destination for Kansas City, Missouri people for the longest time. And they get a chance to go back down to Florida at the time of the year. They would love it, get out of the cold. But at the same time, they can travel a little bit easier down to Miami. I don't know how big of a difference that would be, but something to think about. 49ers and the Chiefs, Super Bowl 54. One quick note and fact about the game, the Garoppolo statistic is amazing. At one point, Garoppolo was 4 for 5. 4 for 5, but the score was like 20 to nothing or 27 to nothing when I saw that. 4 for 5. He ends up throwing only 8 passes. And one of the things I talked about on Friday was Garoppolo throws interceptions. But he didn't have to throw the interception. Didn't have to throw the ball when they ran it over 200 yards with one guy, Mostert, who just dominated the run game, dominated the Packers. The Packers had no answer. Packers never were able to get after the quarterback and rattle Garoppolo, who can get rattled. We're going to talk about that as one of the keys in Super Bowl 54. But stopping the run, the Packers did not do. A lot of teams have not done. The 49ers front line, offensive line is healthy. It's going to get healthier with the 2 weeks. And they have ran the football at one point, was the best running team in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers. That was the big reason why they had dominant success early on. Then the injuries hit, and they were detoured. They were slowed. They struggled. Didn't know if they were going to get healthy again, the 49ers. Could they get healthy in time? They did, just in time to get past Seattle in that last game of the year. But only 8 passes in the title game for Garoppolo against the Packers. Did not have to throw the ball. And once again, as the NFL continues to change its rules to benefit the passing game, and that will continue, I'll remind everybody once again, the running game is back. The running backs are back into the NFL. Running the football is so relevant again. And it always will be and always has been because of what? Because of how much damage it can really do. If you run the ball and successful like the 49ers did yesterday, and how the Kansas City Chiefs ran the ball over 20 times, which was not expected, and the Packers run the ball, got a great running back in Green Bay, and they have a great one in Tennessee with Henry. Whose running game in Super Bowl 54 is going to be the difference, right? Is going to be the difference. Right now, you have to say the 49ers are it. It's not their passing game that scares you, anybody. It's that running game. It sets up everything else. And that's what running does. That's what running does, what the football does to the game every play. And if you can't stop the run, nobody's going to stop running the football. They're going to go and keep going. And the Packers could not stop it. You want the teams to start throwing the ball. You want to put him in long situations. For Green Bay, they could never get the 49ers in tough situations, third and long situations. Field position was a problem. Give the Packers credit for making a comeback. I believe that was all on Aaron Rodgers and doing whatever he had. If you think Aaron Rodgers is done or old, he's 36. He can play at least 4 to 5 more years at a high level, especially in this league. So for people to start saying it's over, tap the brakes. This is not over for Aaron Rodgers. He just needs a team that's going to get better. Packers are built to win now. So he's in a great spot. And the Packers will be back. And they will challenge the 49ers again. So Aaron Rodgers is not done. He's not washed up. He had a hard time yesterday. When you're down by 20, over 20 points in a game, it's very obvious for the other team, like the 49ers defense, to get after the quarterback. They don't have to worry about the running game anymore. So it's hard on any quarterback, on any passing game, because they know you're passing the football. It's obvious. You have to get back into the game. And by getting back into the game, throwing the football is the quickest way. And give the Packers and Aaron Rodgers credit for doing that. They were being embarrassed. People turned off the TV sets. People walked away by halftime. And then you look back up, and the game got a little tight. Got a little unsettled, a little uncomfortable in San Francisco at one point. And you kind of wanted to see the comeback. You wanted to see it happen. It's been a comeback kind of postseason for a lot of teams. But we did end up with two teams that we like to see, or at least we're happy to see. This is going to be fun. This is two quarterbacks that we're going to talk about for a while, Mahomes and Garoppolo. This is the new era, the new beginning of a new run in the NFL of new teams or new quarterbacks. A lot of people probably going to root for the Chiefs for their 50-year drought, the young Mahomes, the anti-Niner fans, people who don't want the Niners to win another Super Bowl in their trophy case. I can see that happening. Moving on. Some fun tidbits about Super Bowl. If you're trying to find a ticket to Super Bowl 54, you're going to pay. You're going to pay. The high-level cheap fans are all coming. They all want a ticket. San Francisco, with their big pockets, a lot of people, their deep fan base, will pay top dollar for this. I remember at the 50-yard line, Super Bowl IX, Chicago and the Patriots, where the Bears just killed them. What was it, 46 or something? I don't know, the six. It was crazy. They destroyed them. And I was at that Super Bowl, ran across a friend that I knew who had a ticket to the game. He was from Chicago, and he bought a 50-yard line ticket about 4 rows from the field for $1,000. That was a lot. That was Super Bowl IX. We are now at Super Bowl 54. And I'll tell you this. The prices are astronomical. You know, face value, the prices have gone up on the ticket. I remember holding tickets to the Super Bowl when the Niners beat the Dolphins. The Niners beat the Dolphins in the Bay Area, in Stanford Stadium, way back in Palo Alto, near San Francisco. Marino against Montana. That was the hype game. It was a great game for all those reasons. But I remember holding face value tickets in Miami, where I was working as a young guy, and I easily could have went to the game. I was going to be given a ticket to go. The game was in San Francisco area. Couldn't get there. But the face value was $75. Face value ticket. So it's come a long way. The game has grown. There's big money, big sponsor money involved, millions of dollars being poured in. You want to buy a ticket. This immediately was a ticket on the internet for $5,050 in the upper level. Now, can't confirm it, but here's other numbers about the game according to Ticket IQ. The cheapest tickets in the nosebleeds that they were selling were $4,300 in the nosebleeds. The lower level was $5,100 for Super Bowl 54. These are big numbers. And these are fans that only could afford to go, or corporations are going to gobble them up or find something and go to the game or bring clients to. This is not a Super Bowl for the average fan. You're not finding a Super Bowl ticket. Only the only the fans who are season ticket holders who win the raffle, who get a chance to buy a Super Bowl ticket at face value, will get the cheapest ticket. And that is the only way that fans can get there. Other than that, I believe out of every 10 seats in the Super Bowl, only one is a legitimate fan from the city that is in the Super Bowl or a legitimate fan. So there's not a lot of room to get to a Super Bowl by purchase of a ticket unless you're going to spend well over $4,000 on the internet at these ticket exchanges, Ticket IQ. If you want to go, you got to find 4 grand. And some people will do it because their love and their drought and wanting to get there. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. Can you imagine? Now, put this in perspective. If you're more of a single ticket kind of guy person, that'll run you more, though. See, what's going to happen is they're going to try to sell you tickets that we're going to bunch together, meaning you can't just buy one ticket for $5,000 or $4,000. You got to buy a ticket that's going to be, if you're going by yourself online through a ticket exchange, they're going to jack you. I don't know why this is legal. I don't know why this is even fair. But there's a number out there for $22,000 for a ticket that is a single ticket, an odd number. Like, for example, yeah, bottom line. And then you get fluctuating prices or hotel accommodations, which are bound to be high prices in the hotels. You're not getting a hotel room that is like if you're going to go on a Motel 6, you're spending $200 in the immediate area, in the Fort Lauderdale area, anywhere up to the Palm Beaches in Florida. You're spending from Miami, from down in the Keys, the Florida Keys, you're spending money. It's going to, and this is the high season in Florida this is their season time for tourism. So everything's high. This is going to be a very expensive, maybe the most expensive trip you're going to make to see a Super Bowl. That's how it is. But you get to watch it on TV. The experience at the game is great. I hope everybody gets a chance to do it. The game itself better be good. They have been good. The Super Bowls have been great lately. Been fun to watch Super Bowls. Wasn't always like that. But you're hoping that you're going to see a great Super Bowl and you hope your team wins. It's going to stink and suck that if your team loses and you went and spent all this money, you're going to spend probably about 10 grand with food, hotel, car rental, and the game itself. It's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you. Crazy as it may sound, but it's gonna cost you. This is a one expensive trip. And you're probably gonna get down there on a Friday night at the earliest, or try to sneak in on a Saturday, and then maybe try to fly out on a Sunday night or the first thing Monday morning to try to limit as much expenses as you can. This is how people try to go, to get in and get out. Some people just get the game ticket and would try to fly in, never get a room, never get a room, and go all night, get to the game on Sunday. You can get an Uber or a Lyft taxi, whatever it is, get to the stadium, and then the game's over, and then you either got a flight later that night or first thing in the morning, and they're back out. That's the ideal quick in and out, limiting your expenses. You just got one plane ticket and some spending for some food and drink, and that's it. Other than that, it's going to cost you a lot. That's how you're going to spend at least $4,000. At least $4,000. Then you got to pay for your plane ticket, which is going to cost you $600 to $800 in this short time period. Put it all in play. It's pretty, unless you drive all the way down there, and that'll cost you a few $100s on gas. Well, you're probably better off flying if you get a ticket. Driving is just not worth it. But some people will drive to stay in their cars and spend 3 days and just shower out the beach and be a beach bum. Okay? People find ways to survive it, but there's a lot of money involved. All right, let's say hi to some people real quick here. This is Super Bowl 54 on a Monday, 2 weeks before the big game as we get our teams involved. I got a lot of more things. I want to say hi to everybody real quick. I appreciate you popping in. This is Hanna Time on Global Sports Broadcasting Network, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, also live on globalsportsbroadcastingnetwork.com, the live stream itself. And I want to say hi to Courtney. Courtney says the game last night was awesome. Don't want to see the 49ers get the Super Bowl, but the way they played last night, yes, Courtney, it was an impressive showing. Impressive showing. Matthew, gotcha, Matthew. Tom in the house, Earl in the house, appreciate it. Who else we got? Courtney's going off today. Courtney, Kenny Salinas. Hey, Kenny. Packers didn't want it. I think the Packers wanted it. It just didn't have enough. Didn't have enough power. Didn't have enough players. The 49ers are a very talented team. They're so talented that, and they have game changers. Remember I talk about game changers? You can't ignore that. But it's not easy. It's not easy, I guess, but it's timing. Got to be in the right, but you got to find ball players. There are ball players everywhere in every round in the draft. And somebody's going to find and get that guy. And it's going to be the right system, too. This is a great system in San Francisco. It's a great system. But they got ball players. They got tremendous ball players. And those tremendous ball players are stars. And they play like stars. And they're young. Joey Bosa is potentially the defensive player of the year overall. Defensive player of the year. He is the rookie of the year. I mean, he is if you want to argue the fact that he's not, you really got to self-check that. And the Arizona Cardinals, by choosing Kyler Murray, gifted Bosa to the San Francisco 49ers. And that was probably the missing link. Niners would have been good. Niners still may have gotten to a Super Bowl, but not as dominant in the postseason, and not as dominant of a season they had when they were all healthy. They were great. They were dominant. You could not beat that team. Even on a bad day, on a Niner bad day, they had enough to win. That is so much talent on that team. But the Cardinals gifted it with Murray. Murray better shape up to be everything and anything that you want. Because it's not, you had Bosa in your hands. And you had anybody you want in that draft. Just saying. There are teams that go for the best talent. Teams that go for the game-changing, legend type of guy that you can see. That this guy can be legend immediately. Not like 3 years from now, and we'll wait and see. But for the 49ers, for the past few seasons, they have drafted well. They've gotten a lot of young talent. They've built it up. They went after their defense strongly, made some trades. That's what you do. You build within, you build up, you become relevant, good, playoff-bound team every year. But then you have to add. Then you go add your free agents. Then you go make a trade here and there. That is really the remedy to building a franchise from the bottom up. And some teams just don't get that. Some teams just don't get that. They say they are, but they don't do a good job of that. You don't go running around grabbing free agents and trades right away and try to rebuild your roster. Start from scratch, build within. This is a great example. Great example. Now, there's a ironic, the last time the 49ers, well, I wouldn't say that. The last time and the only time Dan Marino was in a Super Bowl in his young career, I think it was year 2. Dan made it to a Super Bowl. He was the dominant player, and it was Marino against Montana. Like that was classic quarterback stuff. And now you got Mahomes, year 3, going up against 49ers. And Mahomes reminds me a lot of Marino when Marino got on the scene. I think Marino is a much better quarterback than Mahomes is right now. Marino dominated the game at a time that arguably the best, in my eyes, the best. But Mahomes, young, the face of the league in a lot of ways. If he wins the Super Bowl, it's all Mahomes, man. It's homeboy it's it. Kansas City is on. The target is on your back. But a young quarterback, once again, going against a 49er team. But this is not the Bill Walsh 49er team. This is not Marino. I mean, you had a classic. You had Don Shula versus Bill Walsh. Marino versus Montana. This is Andy Reid, right? Andy Reid and Shanahan. Reid gets a lot of love. But also, you got to look at the quarterbacks. It's all new to us, right? It's refreshing. A lot of people are going to lean on the Chiefs, I believe. I think a lot of fans are going Chiefs. Not because they think they're better. I think it's just the way they want to see it. Long term, I think the 49ers may have a longer run in them. Guys are under contract. But just tap the brakes on how great this can be the next 3 or 4 years. Things can change. Guys want contracts. Salary caps are an issue, and it's hard to keep ball players. But when you have a window to win in the NFL, you go for it. You go for it. You add to your team. You make trades. Your core is in place. And these two teams have their core in place. And their window is about 3 years. 3 years, and then contracts and people, things that are happening. And it's hard to maintain a core cohesiveness of your team in the NFL at that point. But there may be enough talent to stay great and keep getting back to your championship games. But their window is now, and these are teams for the now. And there are other teams that are ready for now that have to overcome. This is a transitional time of the NFL. For the last 10 years we've been watching, things have changed. Things have changed. And it's going to. I think it's exciting for the NFL. I believe that they got a game that they really needed. They needed to showcase their players. And you may not have liked a lot of calls yesterday on the field, and there were some calls against the Chiefs that were just head scratchers. And I mean, for the Chiefs against the Titans, that you make you think, go, wow, I think they want, like, that was, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but there were just some calls that were just, ooh, boy. I think the Chiefs are on the NFL to-do list, or the 49ers are on the to-do list. Just strange. But when I talked about penalties, turnovers, right, and special teams, didn't all that play into this all weekend, all playoffs? It happened yesterday again. Turnovers were a big deal. Penalties were huge, and sometimes they were head scratchers. And special teams. not just punting and kicking, but kickoff returns, punt returns were good, punt coverage, very special. The fake punt. Did you get the fake punt yesterday by Tennessee late in the game? That was big. That kept them in the game. They were able to go down the field and make the game 11 points deficit. So you need all three of those phases in play and let everything else play out. All right, more about this game. Let me get more of your comments. I see some down there at the bottom. I'm sorry, guys. I see you all. Appreciate it. Brian, is that Brian? Good morning, Cornelius. Going to be very interesting Super Bowl. The Cardinals are not in it, but I am going to go for Shakira and beer. So the halftime show and beer is what you're looking forward to, and a lot of people will. All I want is to see a good game, no blowouts, and I think that's everybody's true love for this game of the Super Bowl. Good morning. Let's see who else. We got Felix in the house, Eddie in the house, Michelle. We have Joe. We have Glenn, Peter, Leroy, Miguel, Marissa, and who's this? Tasha says, "Good morning from Houston, Texas." Good morning, Tasha. Who do you got in the Super Bowl? We got Floyd, Bradley. Let's see. Oh, you can't wait for the Super Bowl. All right. Well, it's here. We got 2 weeks to think about it. Got 2 weeks. All righty. And get your party gatherings in order. Glory and Gerald Riggs in the house. Thank you for popping in. Let's see. Go Chiefs. David in the house. Dan in the house. Okay. Joe all back in the house. Thank you for popping in, Joe. All right. I'd see more comments. Let me get into more of this about this game, Super Bowl. I went through the high price tickets. Immediately when the games were all over, San Francisco wins. The Chiefs opened up as the favorite to win the Super Bowl at minus 1.5 points. Now, some other sports books and others had it at even. So it's a very close, a hard to call kind of game. Even the sports book, the gambling part of it, is a tough one. If you're a betting guy, you may want to go straight up on this if it's that close, or if you want that 1 point. If you can take the 1 point, I don't know how much of a difference that would be, but those are your immediate, instant bet line. Chiefs are a favorite by 1.5. 1.5. Okay. The total, the over and under for this Super Bowl. Now, some people are going to go for the over on this one. The total points in the game right now it is 51.5, which means if you take the over, you got to get total combined score at 52. So you're looking at, 26 to 26 and going into overtime, right? You're looking at a mid-20s for both teams to have a chance. Some people see this going high, 35, 31 kind of game, 41 to 39 kind of game. Some people think this may be too low. But here's the deal, folks. Here's what you got to be worried about with the over and under. The total points combined is the running game. Both teams can run the ball. Both teams use the run. And they milk the clock. Yes, they can strike big and quick. But really, they're about to running the ball, especially the 49ers, move the ball down the field. The clock's going to be milked, and it's just the game clock. Time of possession also. So they may not be enough possessions to get the over and under or get the over. Some people may jump on it. I would say this, that I would take the over, but it's going to be close. At this point, I would take the over because the potential of those quick strikes could blow it up. But Super Bowls tend to get tight. Super Bowls tend to get a little tight in the beginning. And before the first quarter's over, it's only 7-0 or 7-3. And what you're hoping for is an immediate, out of the gates, quick scores, 10-7 kind of game, 14-7 kind of game. And then you know that you got a shot to get the over. Good bet, though. It's a good bet. All right, more comments coming in. Um, you got to give a lot of credit to the 49ers, though, with the 220 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns by Mostart, the running back for 49ers. Kyle, the fullback for the 49ers had a lot to do with it, the lead blocking. But that offensive line was tremendous for the 49ers itself. They're healthy, and they're just able to just move you off the line of scrimmage. And defensively, their defensive line moves you on the offensive line. They win the battles in the trenches, the 49ers. They're a good team. And this all happened without any type of Jimmy Garoppolo having to win the game. The Chiefs need to get Garoppolo or make Garoppolo win the game. Changes a lot. I give a lot of credit to all the quarterbacks this week. I think all the quarterbacks played a great game. I really do. I think Ryan Tannehill had a great game. He was 20 for 28 at one point. What else can you ask for a quarterback that has a running game? Well, the running game wasn't there. But Tannehill did enough. He put up 24 points with that team. Big throws, big plays. Late in the game, he showed up again. It's just Ryan Tannehill. I have to say, you're going to be a nice free agent, and if a team needs a quarterback, hopefully Tennessee hangs on to him. He's a good fit. He knows the system. For Garoppolo, we don't know. 8 passes in a game. For Aaron Rodgers, fantastic game for you because you are being run down, abused in a lot of ways, but you still found ways to get back in the game. You never quit. You still have magic. Your defense just wasn't good enough to slow down that running game at all. They tried everything. They even tried a deep nickel. They even tried a cover. What was it? They had a safety deep down in the secondary because they were trying to protect against the run, but they were also trying to protect against the deep pass. So they were prepared to stop the run. So that means they had a lot of guys up in the box, the Packers. They were trying to stop them. And they kept the safety deep, a deep safety. And they still couldn't stop the run. And for Mahomes, you get your second chance to get to a Super Bowl and you finish it off. You get there. And you had a great game. You had to use your legs a little bit. You had to run around a little bit. You're not the fastest quarterback, but you took advantage of open field when nothing was open. Didn't want to throw the ball away. And you use your legs to keep your team moving. That was big. Mahomes scrambling and getting out of the pocket, taking off, was a killer for that Titans defense. The Titans did everything great. The way I looked at it, they really were playing a great game. If Mahomes does not escape a bunch of times for big pickup yards, it's a big difference. There was a lot of 3rd and 10s in that game that Mahomes picked up. A lot of 3rd and longs. Tennessee really had them in a good spot. Tennessee was in that game. Their offense just disappeared, and you got to give the Chiefs defense a lot of credit. All right, more facts and fun things about this. I told you that the Niners want to wear their all white throwbacks back in the Steve Young era, the Terrell Owens era. Mike and Kyle Shanahan become the first father and son duo to lead teams to the Super Bowl as head coaches. Congratulations to the Shanahan family. Kyle needs to win it like his daddy. Needs to win it. For Mahomes. For Mahomes, the youngest to start in a Super Bowl. Where is Mahomes? He's not number one. Number one, like I mentioned earlier, was Dan Marino. Dan Marino was 23 years old. Second on the list is Ken Roethlisberger. Big Ben was also 23 years old. But Big Ben was a little bit older by 100 and some odd days. by 127 days. So Dan Marino was the youngest quarterback to start. Ben is second. David Woodley, another Dolphin. David Woodley, Magic, losing to the Redskins in a Super Bowl. That was the John Riggins Super Bowl. But David Woodley was 24 years old. At number 5 was Jared Goff last year at 24 years old in 112 days. Mahomes, also 24 years old, 138 days. And Tom Brady, 24 years old at 184 days. Out of all those quarterbacks, only 2 have won Super Bowls. Or in that game. In that game alone. Only 2 of them went back to Super Bowls and won. I'm giving you a lot of hints. What quarterbacks did I mention? Marino, Big Ben, Woodley, Goff, Mahomes, or Brady? We know it's not Mahomes. This is his first one. The only 2 quarterbacks to win Super Bowls that were on this young list of quarterbacks, the youngest ever to get to a Super Bowl, are Big Ben and Tom Brady. Tom has 6. Big Ben has 2 Super Bowls. For Mahomes, does he want to be a Goff, a Woodley? He sure looks like a Marino the way he plays, but Marino never won a Super Bowl. Or does he want to be in the Big Ben, Tom Brady category of being multiple Super Bowl champion? We're going to watch the next few years. In 2 weeks, if Mahomes is that young quarterback that puts together a nice run. We've been talking about Mahomes for a few years that this is what was going to happen. It has arrived. It is here. And now we have to wait and see if it plays out in legendary status, in historic manner. All right, so Mahomes is in a great category as one of the youngest quarterbacks in NFL history to start in a Super Bowl. Well, he has to start. Things, hopefully he stays healthy. Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs head coach, 78 wins since becoming the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Second most over the past 7 seasons, only to the New England Patriots, 86. He went to the Super Bowl with the Eagles, lost to the Patriots in 2004. You remember that Super Bowl? So he's back again. Andy Reid, who has made it to the conference championship a few times, but never can get over the hump, can never get and win the Super Bowl. He's getting one more chance. And it looks like he's going to get a couple of chances in the next few years. So a lot of people are going to really enjoy watching Andy Reid and rooting for him, personally, for him to win his first Super Bowl. And the Chiefs' first Super Bowl in 50 years. This is the Chiefs' 3rd Super Bowl appearance. Write that down. Mark it down. More news coming out of it, out of this game between the Chiefs and the Titans. I will say this. There were 4 critical penalties called against the Titans that really was embarrassing. Extremely embarrassing. And one of them was the referee throwing the holding penalty against the Tennessee Titans lineman before they even blocked. The ball was hiked. The moment the ball was hiked, the referee threw the flag. And I remember watching this on TV. I remember watching it on TV. And I remember watching this referee literally throw the flag in the air. And I'm thinking somebody's offside, or is there something, I don't know, something's offsides here. Because you just don't throw the flag that quickly. And then it was a holding call. How do you find a holding call when the ball wasn't barely snapped? We're talking fractions of a second. The ball was snapped. They collided. It's impossible to call a holding penalty when you first collide, as linemen and defense and offensive linemen start hitting the moment they hit. That's not holding. It's impossible. I've never seen anything like it. That's when I went, oh boy. The Chiefs are on the NFL to-do list. They're going to take care of the Chiefs. You can look at the video, folks. I'm not making this stuff up. Look at the video. It's all over the internet. But I remember watching it in real time and I went, "Oh, man. Why do you got to do things like why does a referee got to be so ignorant like that?" And if he made a mistake, say no penalty. Wave it off. Like, do the right thing. But obviously something else. And then there was another one. There was a clear head-to-head helmet contact on Ryan Tannehill. Dan Sorensen, who I like, number 47 of the Chiefs, good ball player. Always around the ball. He has a good role play for this Chiefs defense and special teams. But there was clearly a head-to-head contact on the quarterback. You can call it targeting. This could have been a target and kicked out of the game and a big 15-yard penalty that would have helped Tennessee's offense that needed a boost. Wasn't called. Missed it. It was a big one. Okay? Even Tannehill was upset. It was a missed call. A missed call by the referees. And then the pass interference. The questionable pass interference that you could see it on instant replay and everything else. And I don't know why the Titans didn't challenge it. It was critical because it was a touchdown. But lately, the touchdowns and the interference calls are not being reversed. And the Titans needed their timeout. And they used them properly to stay in the game late when they're trying to get the ball back. So every one of them was important. But this was a good challenge one if they wanted to. The call was pass interference against the Titans defender. And it was clearly not. It was a bad call. Pass interference call due to the ball being placed. It was a spot foul. Titans were victim of a brutal pass interference call. That's how I looked at it too. I thought it was brutal. There was incidental contact. Throw the flag if it's obvious. But when you're on the to-do list like the Chiefs are, and folks, it is a to-do list. The Chiefs are on the NFL list for at least this season. That penalty was thrown, that flag was thrown because you could not touch anything for a Chief yesterday. That's how I looked at it. And I know Chiefs fans don't want to hear it, but that was the clear case. The first down essentially gave the Chiefs the opportunity to make a timely or take time off the clock in the fourth quarter. And the other one, was he in or was he out? On a big 3rd and 10, Watkins, the receiver of the Chiefs, catches the ball, and the tiptoe on the sidelines was called out of bounds. But it has to be clear evidence that it's out of bounds. Remember the rule. You can't tell if his feet or the 1 foot that needed to get down touched. If anything, it looked like it grazed over the top of the surface that you can't tell if he's touching and dragging it. And having control. The Chiefs got all the big breaks in the phantom calls. The tiptoe, the toe tap, whatever it was that Watkins did was a fantastic attempt. But that ruling overturned on the field kept the drive alive, kept the Titans on the field when the Titan was still in the game. Apparently, there was good enough evidence for the referees to think so and overturn the call, adding more frustration to the Titans and their fans. I saw those 4 calls against the Titans really big. A few of them, maybe all of them, were phantom. Questionable. But if you're going to call and make calls like pass interference, that because there's contact, well, you better call it for the other team too. Big. It was big, folks. Those are big plays. And I'm going to use those big plays as one of the big reasons why I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are good. But if it wasn't for a debacle Houston Texans fallout, up 24 points, there's no Chiefs. If the Houston Texans manage that game up by 24 points, there's no Chiefs in the Super Bowl 54. And then with the Tennessee Titans playing a great game in the game, had them right where they needed to, down up 17 to 10 of 7, down at halftime on a late drive, but still in the game, and all these calls going against them. They battled to the end. It wasn't easy. We got to not overlook the fact that this was not an easy victory for the Chiefs. They pulled away a little bit, and they played better defense, and they really stifled that Tennessee Titans running game. But when it became more evident that the Tennessee Titans needed to throw the ball, Derrick Henry was not a big factor. And it changed the way the Chiefs played defense. It benefited them. And good for them. They earned that opportunity. That's how you win games. You take teams out of their element, out of their game plan. So you give the Chiefs credit. But are you going to get away with all this against the 49ers that look like a team that does not look like it's in trouble or struggled at any point of this postseason? The 49ers have looked like a team that's winning the Super Bowl. And the Chiefs were favored by the sports books by 1.5 points. By the numbers and by defense, I think the Niners are a better team. I believe they're winning the Super Bowl. Should be a good one. What I say and predict doesn't matter. What you say and predict don't matter. Some of you are going to get it right, and some of you are going to get it wrong. It's about what happens on the field on Super Bowl Sunday. And it always goes back to penalties, turnovers, and special teams. And that one play or two that changes the game. You got to have a couple of big plays. You got to have a couple of big plays. But you got to make sure you're sound fundamentally. And if the Chiefs are not, it's going to hurt them. The 49ers have been able to overcome interceptions and fumbles and penalties. If the 49ers can clean up their act, they're beyond dominant. Now, Mahomes is going to give them trouble. Mahomes is going to put a lot of pressure on that defense. But if you cannot establish the running game, if you cannot have a balanced attack, Andy Reid, this one could get out of hand. I know Mahomes is a good quarterback. Dan Marino was a great quarterback. But Dan Marino had a problem against Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. The 49ers that night in that Super Bowl took the Miami Dolphins out of their game. And the best thing for the 49ers to do is to dominate early on defense, take the Mahomes offense, Andy Reid offense, and just shut them down early. And find yourself up by two touchdowns. You know, you break away, and all of a sudden the other team has to do things a little bit different. And by the third quarter, you're ahead. You've changed the dynamic for it. You're going to force the other team to scratch back in. That's what you want to do. But the 49ers defense and all that, I like the Chiefs. They're quiet. They're on defense. They don't get a lot of credit. I believe they match up well in a lot of categories. And on any given Sunday, this could be a shootout. And that's, if it's the shootout, it favors the Chiefs. It will favor the Kansas City Chiefs if this is a shootout. Because that means the Niners' running game is not that effective, or it's not being utilized, or it's being shut down, or it's teams are just shooting out. And that's what the Chiefs want this game to be. I'd rather see that for the Chiefs. Unless the Chiefs can establish the running game, they got to go toe-to-toe with that one. All right, more about this game. More news about this game. How about this coming out of the after the game? This is really interesting. Richard Sherman of the San Francisco 49ers goes heavy and hard after Darrelle Revis, the former great legend cornerback of the New York Jets, had a couple of years had a year with the Chiefs, had a year or two with the Patriots, won a Super Bowl. Revis Island, remember all that? He was great. He was good. Well, Darrelle Revis went after Richard Sherman, who claims to be the best cornerback in the NFL. Not quarterback, cornerback, as in the corner. Fear of getting beat in man coverage. This is Darrelle Revis on Twitter. Check this out. Every snap, every play, the fact that he doesn't travel as a cornerback is lame. Accept the challenge that is, at best, shut down or shut Adams down, Devontae Adams of the Packers, the entire game. Do it for the game of football. Stop hiding in cover 3 zones. You know, a lot of people talked about this before, that Richard Sherman is not going man on man, heavy on heavy. He has at times, but he's gotten beaten. But when he has man to man coverage, he's got to cover 3, is what Darrelle Revis is saying. Now you're getting a lot of help, and a lot of help's coming from your defensive line. That defensive 4-man rush that the 49ers possess protects a Richard Sherman. I think Darrelle Revis makes a good point. And if the Chiefs' offensive line can hold down the fort and give Mahomes time, Richard Sherman's going to get exposed. And he got exposed again. He gets exposed. But Richard Sherman bites back on Twitter, back at Darrelle Revis, and says, I would go in on this but I have a Super Bowl to prepare for. Enjoy the view from the couch. Your 9th year looked a lot different than this. Laughing out loud, Richard Sherman. You know, Richard Sherman, I think Darrelle Revis won his Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl champion. He was one of the best at the time. At a time where you were trying to claim it was Revis Island. I think Sherman is a good football player, but he's not a man-on-man. He's not going to cover a guy up and down the field one-on-one. That's not happening. And Darrelle Revis' point is a good one. The defensive scheme is protecting a lot of Richard Sherman's faults, weaknesses. But when you have a front line like the 49ers, it's hard. Well, it's easy for any secondary to be good. I'll tell you this. Any secondary is in trouble when your pass rush is not there. And a lot of these guys in the Niners secondary are getting a lot of benefits from that front line of the 49ers. It's making them look good. And they're all going to get contracts. They're all going to take the big contract and leave at one point because they're going to have the statistics. They're going to have wins, and they're going to have championships probably. And they're all going to start to take the money, and they're going to have to leave. And this is where it can go wrong for the 49ers. In a lot of ways, it can go wrong for those players who think they're all that. All that. You know, only certain team secondaries have been legitimately great in the Super Bowl era. Only a handful. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys under the Jimmy Johnson era had a good secondary. But I would tell you this. If it wasn't for those linebackers and that defensive front line that was so good, that secondary wasn't good. It was average. It was average. They had one good player in that secondary. One good player. Everybody else played their role and they all left for contracts and everything. It's just that's what happens. A lot of these guys are going to get contracts because of the system they play in and other players making them look better. Bottom line. Just like any quarterback is as good as he can be if his offensive line does its job. It's going to be interesting how this plays out for these teams. Guys are going to want their money. But for Richard Sherman and Darrelle Revis going at it, this could be fun the next 2 weeks. Wonder if this is going to be part of the Super Bowl hype between these two players. All right. One more factual or information coming out. This is a good story. A few years ago, Ryan Shazier was crippled on the football field, broke his back, his spine. He was said he would never walk again. Ryan Shazier is walking again. Ryan Shazier, who is still on the Steelers roster, not only is walking, he's running, he's jumping, he's doing athletic things. It was announced for the first time since 2017 that Ryan Shazier, who was paralyzed from the shoulders down, the neck down, the shoulders down, yeah, that Dr. Joseph Maroon, a team physician, has indicated that Ryan Shazier has improved to the point where the medical staff thinks it's safe to let him play. He doesn't really fall down. So we're going to give Ryan authorization to take the field. You heard it here first. Ryan Shazier, come back, has given the open door to make it back on the football field. They say his body is healed and is able to take the blows of the NFL, the abuse that it would go through. Maybe this season, maybe halfway through next season, Shazier puts on the jersey for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It'll be a great moment for the NFL season. Great story. It's going to be a great story. And let's see if Ryan Shazier actually gets to camp and starts putting on the jersey again. It would be a great story. I think that injury itself, a lot of people were on national TV at night were just heartbroken to see that happen. But to see him get back on the field, your fingers are crossed, but it's also a great accomplishment of never quit, never give up, and anything's possible. God willing, right? God willing. So Ryan Shazier is given the clearance to play football again. How incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right. I'm going to refresh. I'm going to look at some other headline news around the NFL. Did you know that Tom Brady was seen with the Las Vegas Raiders, not the Oakland Raiders, owner? Tom Brady has moved out and cleared out of his everything in Massachusetts, no longer wanting to be a resident of Massachusetts. Looks like his days as a Patriot are over. Phillip Rivers, the Chargers quarterback, has cleared out everything, is moving out. He's buying a home, they said, in Miami. Is he the next quarterback of the Miami Dolphins? I still think the Carolina Panthers, where he went to college in Carolina, would be a good fit also. But he looks like he's going back east. Looks like his days as a Charger quarterback are over. But Tom Brady, is open-minded, he says, as to where he could play. Where does he want to play? You want to come to Arizona and teach Kyle Murray how to play ball? Do you want to go to Detroit? Get that franchise winning a little bit? Do you want to go to Denver and be with John Elway and teach a young quarterback in Denver the ropes? Do you want to go to LA and be a Charger quarterback? Go back to California and take the place of Philip Rivers. Tom Brady has options. Got a lot of options. He can stay on the East Coast, but where? A lot of young quarterbacks. Does he go to Washington, the Redskins, who have a lot of quarterbacks, but a lot of contracts on the quarterback? Where do you go next? Does he go to Tennessee Titans? Does he go to Tennessee with a good team? Maybe. Could be a good fit in Tennessee. I wouldn't doubt that either. Ryan Tannehill's a free agent. He would like to come back to Tennessee. After yesterday's game, he spoke about it. I think it's a great fit for Ryan to stay in Tennessee. Could he go to Miami? Could he go to Tampa Bay? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Bruce Arians. Is that a good fit? Tampa Bay is ready. They have a defense. They have an offense. They have weapons. It's Florida. Just saying. Could be a good fit. Could be a really good fit. Could it be Chicago? They have Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback, but is Chicago ready for one more year of Mitchell Trubisky? They say he's their guy. Or does Tom Brady come in for 2 years to help and teach, mentor? You got to put it out there. You have to put it out there. This is real stuff. Tom Brady has a choice. Philip Rivers can give you one more good year. Philip Rivers can manage a football game. And then there's Eli Manning. Where is Eli going? Do we know what Eli can bring? Well, Eli was pretty good in his performance when he had a chance to play this past season. He looked good. He looked like he can still play ball, and he deserves to. But where does he go? Does he go to Denver and follow his brother's footsteps? Does Philip Rivers, Eli Manning, or Tom Brady want to go to Indianapolis, the Colts, that is primed to win now with that defense and offense they have? Brissett is a nice quarterback, but is he going to get you to the next level? Tom Brady could. How ironic would that be? Brady in a Colts uniform for years, a rival with the Colts. Just saying. Well, how about Eli Manning going to the Colts, where his brother starred, won Super Bowl? Or goes to Denver, where his brother played? Or does Eli Manning go to the Chargers, a team that drafted him on draft day, but was traded to the Giants for Philip Rivers, who was drafted by the Giants in that same draft? How ironic would that be if Eli actually ends up with the Chargers? And for Philip Rivers, you can go home. Maybe you can get with Carolina. Maybe you can go down to Florida and be quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For who? The Miami Dolphins? Is that where you want to end up? Do you want to win one more Super Bowl? I believe these quarterbacks want to win, not get a paycheck. So I think these three quarterbacks, Brady, who is open-minded about playing somewhere else now, Eli, and Philip Rivers, want to go somewhere where they can win right away. The Chargers have talent. They are a team that can win. The Colts, the Buccaneers got a lot of talent. Carolina Panthers got a lot of talent. Those four teams alone. Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos could be a good fit for one of these three quarterbacks. So there's 5 places that can actually change an organization and put them immediately in playoff contention in a lot of ways, because they can manage a football game. They can make the throw. They can make a throw, a big play. They understand. Yes, they may be old, and yes, they're not the same great quarterback. But up here, up in the head, where they know a lot, that goes a long way than any youthful quarterback. And if you can get 1 or 2 more years out of these guys and have a playoff win in you, have a Super Bowl appearance in you, or if you're lucky enough to win a Super Bowl with one of these three quarterbacks, you succeeded in a short term. This is just a short term with these three quarterbacks. But the money and the rewards are huge. So there are a lot of eyes on these three quarterbacks. Let's see where it ends up. Uh no more big news coming out of the Super Bowl so far. Um, One thing I'm reading right now is that Ryan Tannehill said he is still unsure about his Titans' future. The Chiefs are happy to earn a chance for Andy Reid to get to a Super Bowl. And the 49ers are talking about how they won this game easily, and that is attacking the Packers on defense. Their two stars going after them. Richard Sherman says the 49ers were ready for the Packers and that it showed on the field. Those are just a quick headlines coming out right now to the NFL. Let's go hi and say hi to some people right now, and then we'll close out the show in a little bit, okay? More comments coming in. Who do you got in the Super Bowl? San Francisco needs to pass in the Super Bowl. That's what Joe says. Joe thinks that it's going to have to be a passing game. They won't pass, Joe, unless the Chiefs stop the running game. The 49ers are going to run until you stop them. And they got many formations, many plays, many misdirections with that running game in San Francisco. Eddie McKee says it comes down to quarterbacks, and you have to go with Mahomes. I think that's a good one. Mahomes has the advantage. If you're looking at a Super Bowl, what quarterback is going to be the choice? It's Mahomes. But Garoppolo does a good enough job. Garoppolo doesn't have to be the star, but he can be. He can throw 4 touchdown passes and be the MVP. But it won't be pretty. Just gets the job done. More comments coming in. Tonisha, Levon, Yvonne, Jackie, Cecilia, Michael. Who else we got here? Going to be amazing. Todd coming in. How you doing, Todd? Sorry, Mahomes is good, but overrated. Everyone says Kyler is next Mahomes. Not happening. No. Kyler Murray is not Mahomes. He's never going to be Mahomes. Mahomes is the quarterback of the game right now. And Mahomes is good, but he's beatable. He's not Dan Marino. He's not Tom Brady yet. Todd says, bring Eli or Philip Rivers to the Arizona Cardinals. Well, if the situation was there, I don't think it's going to happen. What else we got here? Cindy in the house. Lorraine in the house. Appreciate you popping in. Okay. For the top of the show, real quick, we're going to run through and then we're going to end it. If you haven't seen it or heard it, mentioned it at all, this is a Super Bowl 54 that we're talking about. We know who's in it now, Chiefs and the 49ers. This is an all-red, a very red Super Bowl. Never seen this before. We never had an all-red Super Bowl. Let's see how it plays out. Garoppolo versus Mahomes, the new era of quarterbacks as we have a changing of the guard and in a big way. In a big way. Also, making the big headline news, Garoppolo throws 8 passes and wins. They win the NFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl. Incredible. Chiefs get to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years, their third appearance in the Super Bowl. Tickets for the game, once again, $4,000 for the cheapest ticket. I saw one as high as well over $5,000 for the upper deck. Upper deck seats, $4,000. Go figure. Go figure. The cheapest lower level tickets, $5,100. Cheapest. So we're probably going to see tickets in the $7,000 range really easy. There are tickets out there that will fluctuate up to $22,000 if it's a single ticket, an odd number ticket, $22,000. This is their prediction, and this is what they're seeing already. The game is going to be played in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Miami Gardens, they call it. An area that I know very well. I know Miami very well. I know that stadium very well. I was there when that stadium opened up after the Dolphins left the Orange Bowl. It has a transformation to where if it rains, it will not rain on the fans. It's covered, but it has a window. It doesn't close. It's not a dome. Potential rain in Miami this time of the year is there. It has happened before. Super Bowl 54 on February 2nd, the first Sunday of February in Miami. Niners and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the home team. They will choose what color uniform they will wear, and most likely it's going to be their home red uniforms. And the Niners are going to have to wear their white. The Niners are pushing to wear a special uniform. The NFL has rules and may not grant that, but they're going to ask the NFL to wear their all white. The Steve Young, Terrell Owen all white uniforms. Throwback. This is not a throwback Super Bowl. You don't so I don't know the correct ruling on this, but for a away team, you're forced to wear the other color if it's the dark color or the white jersey. But about the pants and going throwback, because they're not going to wear the white uniforms they're wearing right now, the NFL still has to approve that. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't know why. So the 49ers, again, second conference championship since 2013. Okay. First appearance in the Super Bowl. They won their NFC West for the first time since 2002. 13 games. First time since 2011. They've changed it. They changed it all around. Kyle Shanahan joins George Seifert and Bill Walsh as the only head coaches to reach the Super Bowl in their first postseason appearance. Yeah, playoff appearance. Because the 49ers never made the playoffs last year. First time in the playoffs, first time in the Super Bowl. For George Seifert and Bill Walsh, they won Super Bowls in their first time in the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan, it looks like you're in a good company. 49ers total offense yesterday, 50 running plays. 50 for 285 yards, nearly 7 yards a carry. And you had that one running back, Mostert, who just 220 yards, 4 touchdowns. So that's going to be the ammo for the 49ers going into Super Bowl 54 is run the ball first, make sure they stop the run, and then they'll throw the ball. The 49ers will start throwing the ball, or they're going to mix it. But running the football is going to be big for the Niners. It's going to be everything. For the Chiefs, they're going to have to establish their running game. They don't want to just rely on the pass because then it makes it too easy for the 49ers to get after you. That front defensive line is not easy to defend or to stop. That offensive line for the Chiefs has their work cut out. And the Chiefs are going to find themselves trying to add an extra blocker. If the 49ers defensive line starts to take over, it's not good. Things have gone wrong for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs have to find a way to run the ball to keep them honest. Andy Reid is a good offensive mind. He's creative. There's going to be some trick plays for sure. Both teams are going to have some trick plays. Both teams are going to try to hit the big play early, but definitely going to hit the big play or try and hit the big play. It's so important in Super Bowls to get out of the gates early. It's so important to get the lead early. set the tone, set the momentum for yourself, and potentially you can pull away and turn it into a very heavy favor for you the rest of the way. Getting out of the gates. Who can get out of the gates first? Or who can break away first? I say both teams are never going to be out of it, though. Even if the Niners are winning this game by a couple of scores, I can see Mahomes making a comeback. I can see Mahomes throwing the ball all over the field and making a run at the end. I think both teams have that ability. But there is one key factor that is not good for the 49ers. The 49ers do not want to be behind. They don't want to be in passing situations. Obvious one. Most teams don't. But I don't trust Garoppolo. He throws interceptions. And the Niners struggle that way. That's not their ammo. Their ammo is run first, pass second. Run first or play action. Tight ends. Misdirections. A lot of misdirections. Do a great job. They have a lot of talent. But once the Niners get into a forced passing situation or they're behind in the game, later in the game, different story. A different 49er team. They're not that good anymore. They're not as dominant on offense at that point. They're out of their game plan. They're out of their realm. I've seen this before. Most teams will have that. Most teams will struggle that way. But we're talking Garoppolo, we're talking Super Bowl, we're talking pressure, and things can go bad quickly. And that's an advantage for the Chiefs to get out of the gates and keep the pressure on that 49er offense and take the Niners running game offense out or limit it. And a lot of times you can do that by throwing the football and scoring and getting out of the gates early to where the 49ers will either change their game plan or have to adjust. But the goal is to get your opponent out of their comfort zone, out of their strengths. But I see the 49ers having more strengths. And the fact that they can even be weak at one point, they have enough to compensate to win this game. I really believe the 49ers have more depth, more talent, more. They're a better team. They are a better team. They should win the Super Bowl, the 49ers. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But they have a lot of things in their favor that the Chiefs match up well in a lot of areas, but then there's a couple of spots that you go, oh boy. They better block that defensive line of the 49ers. They better run the ball a little bit. That offense, the Chiefs' offense. Have to. Those are the key points right there. Those are the keys to the Super Bowl. Can the Chiefs run the ball? And can the Chiefs protect Mahomes? Now, the other ingredient that the Niners have, and this could be a powerful tool, Mahomes will run. Not that that's what he does. He's not a dual threat quarterback. People say he's not. He's a pocket quarterback that can escape, get out of the pocket, and make big plays, big throws out of the pocket. But he'll run. And if there's nobody spying on him and there's nobody worrying about him, he can literally keep drives alive with his legs. He can literally wear down a defense by keeping those drives alive with his legs. And Mahomes may have to run a few times, not on purpose, but get out and just go, I got to go. And pick up 5 yards, pick up that first down with his legs, maybe pick up a big run. That is crucial. And that is an ingredient that the 49ers do not have with Garoppolo. And they have to worry about that. It has to be a concern. But the Niners are not going to focus on Mahomes' legs running, leaving the pocket and running. Like that's part of the game. They're not going to worry about it. If it starts to happen, they'll change and adjust. That's how I look at it. But that's where it can be dangerous for that Niner defense. It's going to hurt them. It should hurt them. And they may not have faced a quarterback that is able to do that. I mean, Russell Wilson tore him apart. Russell Wilson made throws. Yes, Russell Wilson got hit, sacked in those games against the 49ers. But Russell Wilson also made some throws, big throws. Russell Wilson also ran and took off when needed. Big gains. And that's where Mahomes and the Chiefs will have to look at that and say, hey, Pat Mahomes, you need to take it. Take off a few times. Make him think about you. Make a big play with your legs here and there. We need it. This is a Super Bowl. We're going to find a way to win the game. Keep the drive alive. He did that yesterday against the Titans. Big reason why the Titans lost is that they were not ready for Mahomes leaving the pocket. And why would you? Because he doesn't run. He doesn't take off Mahomes. It's not his game. He leaves the pocket, but he's trying to throw on the run. He's trying to get out of the pocket and throw the ball. Keep the play alive so he can get the ball downfield, which he's very good at. Another element that the Niners defense has to be concerned with. Mahomes out of the pocket is dangerous because his players, his receivers do a great job getting open. And big plays happen when Mahomes leaves the pocket. You know, he's got a little bit of that Big Ben in him. Hard to sack, hard to bring down. He's got a lot of escape Houdini-like, or he likes to get out of the pocket, or when he does, he makes big plays with his arm. And Ben was a master of that. Mahomes has a lot of that. He's got a lot of Marino in him. But he's got a lot of a new era quarterback in him too. Because he's got legs and he can run. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the fastest quarterback. But I'll take it. He's not slow. He's not slow. All right, last comments, and we're going to wrap it up. Appreciate it, guys. Say hi on YouTube. Thank you. Juan says it's going to be a slugfest, he says. That means a physical slugfest, meaning hitting it in a way of what? Clock, he says, offense scores points, defense wins championship. There he has it. That is Juan Otero. So he sees this game, you know, the over and under is 51.5 at the immediate over and under. It's going to go up and down. People are going to make bets. I believe people are going to go over and bet the over on the 51.5. But as Juan says, it's going to be a slugfest, which means clock's going to tick away and the scoring is not going to be as high as you're anticipating, like high scoring in the upper 30s or in the 30s for both teams. And I think he has a point. I think this can actually be a low-scoring game for the most part. Then we'll have some fireworks. But if the fireworks happen first, Juan, man, it's not going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a wide open air raid of quarterbacks throwing footballs and big plays, and we'll see. I mean, who knows, man? This could be a blowout, and then everybody says, what happened? Bren in Australia. How you doing, Bren? Neutralize Henry. That's what they did. They neutralized Henry, the Kansas City Chiefs, and they got to him. They got to Tannehill. Tannehill still held his own. He was still a very smart, safe quarterback in a lot of ways. He had to take some chances. But I think Tannehill did a good job. But they stifled and neutralized Derrick Henry. And that's how they won the game. And they barely won. I mean, people think it was a blowout. It was a tough one. The Chiefs, that concerns me. It concerns me because the Chiefs are going to have to do it again. They're going to have to neutralize the running game. Neutralize the running game of the San Francisco 49ers. Can they do it again in Super Bowl 54? Juan comes back and says, Oh, good afternoon. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, Juan. Appreciate it. Tim in the house, Joseph in the house, Dane in the house. One more time with Juan, and we'll wrap it up. You think I might be right, Juan? I might be. This is the fun part about Super Bowl. This is the fun part about talking about the Super Bowl and all the hype. And then we're gonna get tired of it. Then we're gonna just want the game. We're gonna want the game. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with the trash talking, or if anything happens. A week from today or tomorrow, there's going to be the media day where the media gets to meet the players and all the crazies come out. I've done 9 media days in my life, and it's got more controlled, more toned down a little bit. You get people from all over the world that try to show up and be loud in costumes and characters and crazy questions, and that's fun of it. That's part of the spectacular of it all. It's okay. I enjoyed it, being there, doing it. But I also like going into the stands where the players who don't get the podium, like there are players that get podium, and there are players who don't, and they sit in the stands, like the first 10 rows, and you go up and you sit with them, and you chill with them. That was the fun part about media day, is I would just sit with some of the guys, like, oh, that's so and so just chilling out, and I'll just sit with them. I'll like, hey, can I talk to you? He goes, yeah, why not? It's media day. That's what they do. That's what they're there for. And you talk about them, their life, their season, I guess, whatever comes to mind, whatever you know about the player. But a lot of times you get a lot of cool, chill back conversations because that's what they really want. I'm not going to come out with what ice cream flavor do you like? Uh, you know, just like who cares about that? That's for like eighth graders who are going to interview a professional athlete. They're going to ask about what kind of dog you have. I don't care about that. I'm not going eighth grade, interviewing an athlete questionnaire. Okay. But I want to know. I want to know about the team. I want to know about team's morale, how things played out from the season, the beginning, the end. How was he doing? Were there things at the time of the season as this player sitting not on the podium, but you have no interference. You're just chilling. There's no other media around you because you're just chilling. You get a lot of good answers, and you get to know players. And I've always enjoyed just getting to know certain players. And sometimes you're like, holy cow, he's not on the podium. I'm going to go talk to that guy. Oh, I'm going to go talk to the starting center of the Kansas City Chiefs, who's not on the podium. But I'm going to go sit with him because there he is. He's in the fifth row over there at the 30-yard line. And you go sit with them and you talk and go, hey, got a big task, defensive line, without giving away any game planning. What are the things that impress you about that defensive line of the 49ers? They'll talk about it. Okay. Obvious, somewhat generic question. But you get the ball rolling. What do you love about playing center for the Kansas City Chiefs? What do you love about the game itself? What makes it fun being a lineman in the NFL that we don't get to hear about? Why is it that like you talk about them? They're that's the fun part about media day, or anytime when you get to talk to players. I like to go after the ones that are not on the podium or the big star players. It's too chaotic. I mean, whatever you're hearing, whatever I will hear, you're going to hear. You're going to get to hear it because it's already live on TV. It's already being recorded and replayed and shown all over the internet. So why? I don't care for that. Oh, I got Deion Sanders trash talking for fun with Richard Sherman. Man, they were having a good old time, and I was there. I don't care for that. I'm looking for the other story. I'm looking for other news or other chill out moments where not everybody's going to get or nobody's going to get but me. And then you get information and you learn about a player, a team, the game, the Super Bowl. And that's fun. That's the fun part. One of my stories of the Super Bowl, and I'll end it on this. I know there's more comments coming in. I appreciate it, Don. I appreciate it. Want to Joey Bosa will be a difference. Can you imagine that the Cardinals, if Kyle Murray does not shape out, and he looks like he got a chance to be a good quarterback, but if he doesn't pan out, or if things don't go well, and you had a chance to draft a defensive player of the year, who will be a defensive player candidate every year, who changes the game every play, who disrupts a play every game. Those are the guys you want. Kyle Murray could be that guy one day when everything gets better for the Cardinals. But man, I'm going to always look at that. And you gifted the 49ers a massive, massive, game changing, dominant player. Think about that. You don't select players because you're trying to hide the eight ball. When you play pool, you have to protect the eight ball because your opponent's going to win. So you choose and you protect. Well, I'll tell you what. The Cardinals would have done right and would have been okay if they drafted Joey Bosa. It would have changed their defense. Chandler Jones and Joey Bosa on the defensive line. Think about that. Think about how much terror that would be. You wouldn't have to go after Terrell Suggs and spend money that way. You wouldn't have to go after certain. You can build immediately around your defense that way. You can build your strength through your defense that way. But they chose to go offense and believing that Kyler Murray is going to be their pivotal structure of their rebuild. It better work out. It better work out. Because you gifted the 49ers an opportunity for a window of dominance for a long time with one dominant player in Joey Bosa. All right. With that being said, my last story, I have a lot of Super Bowl stories I'll share with you throughout the next few weeks, personally, and things that I saw. I have photographs. Maybe I will post them a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. Is this? It's an opportunity when you cover the Super Bowl to be part of something that's special in your career. But there's opportunities to really work hard, take advantage of the opportunity to really get exposed in a lot of ways. And Media Day and people who are going out all over the world are looking for that opportunity. They're looking not only to do their job, but to be exposed in a way of attention, career opportunity. It's like a convention. It's a media convention of the world at the Super Bowl for 2 weeks. And you'll meet from people all over the world. And looking for jobs, if you're looking for a job or looking to branch out somewhere, great opportunity. You meet directors, program directors, general managers. You meet a lot of people who own and run TV and radio stations or whatever podcasting companies are out there. Anything. You meet athletes. You meet networks. You meet, if you want to, you go out and hang out in the social places and you run into people everywhere. You go to the NFL headquarter hotels and hang out in the lobby and you hang out and you're hanging out with the people that you see on TV. It's a great networking opportunity. Fantastic. And if you're a person, a young guy or woman or somebody who wants to, and you can't watch the game in person, I say, if it's close enough, pack your bags, get in your car, and drive to Florida. I know it's hard coming from the West Coast, but if you're nearby, and just network. Network the opportunity to meet people. It's fantastic. Next year, the Super Bowl's in Tampa, Florida, so East Coast. Then it comes west. California. So those are the opportunities, and I recommend that. Um, I think we all do that. I think everybody gets opportunities to take advantage of that, and I think it's wise. And I see that as an opportunity in my own career. Now, I don't know if I'm going to the Super Bowl. My chances are not that good at this point. But I will say, if you do and you're working it, don't just be there as a spectator. Work it. Do everything. Get out there. Meet people. You're going to be tired. If you're not tired, well, if you're tired, it's either two things. You're working, you're socializing, you're networking, and you're trying to just, get numbers for your show or try to get on a show, whatever it is. Or you're out partying every night and you're tired from doing that. There's two ways of looking at it. Choose the route of working and networking. Fantastic. Know where the spots to go. Be careful of those. Be careful in Miami when it says NFL Super Bowl party. You know, they're all the clubs, every Super Bowl town's always going to talk like as if they're the Super Bowl party on that Thursday night, that Friday night, that Saturday night. That's just them to get you in the door. And you walk in, and then somebody says, movie stars going to be there, or so-and-so athletes are going to be there. Maybe. And there are. And there are times where you're going to see a lot of them. But don't fall for that. Don't chase that. I've done that. But either way, it's a good time. But you meet people. You're going to meet a lot of people. The other part is find out where the real stuff's happening. The NFL headquarters hotels are huge. That's where I would head to. Huge. Big money around, big people, big executives. It's NFL. They take over the area. The NFL runs everything at that point. All right, we'll talk more about this. I appreciate you coming in, guys. Jeff, Jaime, Denise in the house. Hey, Denise, thanks for popping in. One last thing, I'm going to go. We got to get out of here. My son would make a good sports analyst. He knows way more than me. Young kids, young boys and girls love sports. They just passionate about it, and they really get further into the knowledge or the information. And that is a beautiful. But I was like that. I think all of us in the industry were like that, and I appreciate that. All right, folks, everybody on YouTube and Facebook, thank you for popping in. It's been a good showing. I appreciate it. We're going to talk a lot of Super Bowl. There's a lot to talk about. I'll talk to you tomorrow on a Fat Tuesday. We'll talk Super Bowl 54 and other sports. There's other stuff going on that makes news. But we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for popping in right here on Hanna Time, Global Sports Broadcasting Network. You can listen to the live stream anytime. Go to YouTube if you can, or right here also on Facebook Live. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good Monday. Enjoy.